How to get a bookkeeping job in 2025 with no experience. My name is Zach Pasquarello. I started my own bookkeeping business 5 years ago, and now I make these videos because honestly, I love talking about my own bookkeeping business and I love teaching other people how to start their own bookkeeping business. In this video, I'm going to specifically talk about how to get a bookkeeping job with no experience. That's exactly what I did 5 years ago. I had no experience. I did not have a college degree in accounting. I had no credentials, no certifications, and I just started my bookkeeping business without any experience. So let's just jump right into it. Number one, bookkeeping is still in high demand. Despite what you might think with artificial intelligence, bookkeeping is still in high demand because business owners still need to file their taxes. The IRS still requires tax returns. In order to file your taxes, you need to have financial reports. In order to get financial reports, you need to categorize your business transactions. Artificial intelligence software does help a little bit, but we still need people to operate that artificial intelligence. And the software can be confusing for people who are not bookkeepers. QuickBooks Online is a great tool, but for people who are not necessarily good with computers, technology, accounting, bookkeeping, software, the internet, things like that, it can be pretty hard to use QuickBooks Online. But the good news is once you learn it, it can be easy. So you're really just learning a skill. You're learning how to do bookkeeping. You're learning how to use QuickBooks Online. Once you get that skill, you don't need a 4-year college degree. You don't need 20 years of experience. You don't need to be a CPA. Once you learn the skill of how to operate QuickBooks Online, it can really be pretty straightforward, pretty simple. The IRS still requires people to file taxes. As long as people have to file taxes, they will need financial reports. As long as people need financial reports, someone is going to need to record transactions. And nowadays, in this world of a gig economy where a lot of people are leaving their job and trying to start their own business, business owners, accounting firms, everybody needs bookkeepers. There's still a really high demand for bookkeepers. Let's focus on your transferable skills. Sure, you might not be a CPA. You might not have an accounting degree, but there are a lot of transferable skills that really relate very well to being a bookkeeper, like being organized. If you are generally an organized person, if you know how to manage a calendar, if you know how to manage your own time, if you can be organized, if you can show up on time, if you can get things done when you say you're going to get them done, that's a really important skill for a bookkeeper. Attention to detail. If you're very detail oriented, if you know how to analyze documents and review data and do data entry. If you can successfully enter a large amount of data accurately, that's super important for bookkeepers. So organization, attention to detail, customer service. As a bookkeeper, even if you're not necessarily a business owner right away, you still might interact with clients, especially if you work at an accounting firm. You might be client facing. You might interact with other business owners, other clients. So if you can communicate properly, effectively, politely, that's super important. So customer service in any industry, any job, customer service is always going to be really important. You want to be able to work with your peers, work with your managers, work with your clients, work with your customers. You want to be able to deliver high quality customer service no matter what. General administrative tasks, bank deposits, emails, calendars, organizing an office. All of these things are sometimes tasks that bookkeepers, office managers, office administrators do. So if you're generally pretty good, or even if you have an old job where you were an office manager or an office administrator, virtual assistant, executive assistant, if you've ever worked closely with the CEO or a general manager, anybody at a company like that, and you have office manager, office administrative experience, super transferable to being a bookkeeper. And I already touched on data entry, Microsoft Excel, being able to look at bank statements, count money, count transactions, data entry, dates, numbers, dollar signs, bank detail, debits, credits, all super important. So when it comes to transferable skills, I started my bookkeeping business 5 years ago, but I recently launched Zip Capital, and it was really cool to see all the transferable skills that I learned as a bookkeeper translate perfectly into growing my investment fund. I'm sending emails to title agents and investors, which I learned from running my bookkeeping business. I'm setting up interest payments, and I'm recording mortgage payoffs and mortgage satisfactions, and I'm keeping track of all my real estate private money loans on Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. I'm using investor software to keep track of investors into Zip Capital. And all of these skills, every time I do something new in Zip Capital, whether it's raising money from investors or doing real estate private money loans, I just can't help but think, wow, looking at HUDs, looking at acquisition and disposition real estate HUDs whenever people purchase properties, or underwriting properties. Like, everything that I've learned as a bookkeeper is just such a good transferable skill that allowed me to level up and get to Zip Capital. So wherever you are right now, I would leverage your previous experience, even though it might not be a direct correlation to what you're trying to get into. Leverage your current experience. You will be surprised at how much what you've already done really relates to what you're trying to do. Let's talk about the software. Learn the software. If you want to become a bookkeeper, you're probably going to have to learn QuickBooks Online. There's also QuickBooks Desktop, Sage, Xero, Wave. There's a lot of different accounting software. QuickBooks Online seems to be the most common. So I have a course for sale. If you want to take my course, I'll teach you bookkeeping fundamentals, QuickBooks Online tutorials, sales, marketing, customer service. I'll teach you everything. It's all linked in the description of this video. Either way, if you're going to become a bookkeeper, 99% of the time, you will need to know how to use bookkeeping software. So take my course or watch some YouTube videos, go to the library, surf the web. The information is out there. So if you're trying to become a bookkeeper, start today. Start learning right now, immediately. Start learning QuickBooks Online. You got to know the software. Maybe you can get free experience. And I put free in quotation marks. Get free experience first. I wouldn't necessarily recommend advertising to the world that you're offering free bookkeeping services. I would start with your close circle first. Maybe help a friend, maybe help a family member. If they are a business owner, maybe help them with their bookkeeping. Maybe volunteer at your church. I know a lot of local youth sport organizations are always looking for a treasurer. That might be a great opportunity for you to get some business, bookkeeping, finance, accounting experience. You can also manage your personal budget. You can actually get QuickBooks Online and connect your personal bank account, personal credit card to QuickBooks, and then you can manage your personal budget just like you would a business. You can record your transactions, set up your chart of accounts, reconcile your bank accounts in QuickBooks, and you can manage your own personal finances and get a ton of QuickBooks experience and bookkeeping experience. There's a lot of different creative ways that you can get experience. And it doesn't have to be from a total stranger or like from a legit company. It can just be from a family or a friend, or managing your own personal stuff, or volunteer at a nonprofit. Networking and marketing, super important no matter what. Whether you're starting a business or trying to get a job, networking can help you so much. So figure out where people are hanging out. Facebook, a lot of business owners are hanging out on Facebook. There's a lot of real estate investor meetups. There's a lot of business startup entrepreneur meetups at local colleges. There's a lot of different options. And you can also leverage other people who work with business owners. So like bankers, loan officers, advertising agencies, business coaches and consultants. Like, these other entrepreneurs have a lot of business connections. So maybe consider networking with those people, and maybe you can tap into their network by networking with them. That's how I got started with Zip Capital. I had 5 people ask me all the time, like, where do your real estate loans come from? And I tell people I've been marketing my bookkeeping business for the past 5 years. I've been networking with real estate investors for the past 5 years. So it was a very natural transition. Instead of leveraging and marketing my bookkeeping services, now instead I'm just marketing real estate lending services. So I have a very vast network. I have a lot of marketing connections to local real estate investors, and I've just been able to leverage that. So whatever you do right now, whatever networking you do, whatever social media marketing you do, and social media marketing can be kind of intimidating if you're thinking about it right now, just think about it as social media activity. Seriously, whatever social media activity you're doing right now is promoting your personal brand. Even if it's something simple like Maybe you really like cooking. Maybe you like to post your recipes on Instagram. That's social media activity. And that activity is really similarly related to social media marketing. You are marketing and branding yourself as somebody who likes to cook. Or a little bit more personal, I coach my son's football team. So if I was always posting videos and pictures of me coaching my son's football team, I'm marketing myself as a youth football coach. And now I know I'm not trying to get a job as a football coach. You're probably not trying to get a job as a nutritionist or a cook or a chef. But seriously, that social media activity is branding yourself. So if you want to try to get a bookkeeping job, consider leveraging your own personal social media channels: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X. You can start talking about it. Like, hey, I'm trying to get a bookkeeping job. Hey, I just got a QuickBooks Online certification. Hey, I just enrolled at Penn State Online at my local college, my local online college, or my local community college. I just started studying Intro to Accounting. Just post updates. You never know what might happen. You never know. You might not be actively really trying to do social media marketing, but this social media activity, you never know. You might be friends with, or you might be following somebody who knows somebody else who needs a bookkeeper in their business. And then all of a sudden, your social media activity turned into marketing and networking, turned into a job interview. So you just never know. Now let's talk about certifications and education. So Certified QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor. Number one thing I recommend that you get, especially if you have no experience. It sounds really fancy, and it's really doesn't take too much time. It might take 2 weeks for you to study the material and then pass the course. The course is kind of challenging, but once you pass the course, you can market yourself. You can brand yourself as a certified QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor. Hey, Zach, do you have any experience as a bookkeeper? Yes, as a matter of fact, I am a certified QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor. Boom. End of discussion, end of conversation. Check the box. Zach has experience, even though you and I, we both know that that course only took me 2 weeks and it was totally free. I learned a little bit, but I'm certainly not a bookkeeping expert just after finishing that course. But at least now you can brand and market and label yourself. Yes, I am a certified QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor. And then most companies need to teach people how to do bookkeeping. Most companies hire an office administrator, office manager, and then that person takes on the role of a bookkeeper. So if you can come to a company with a little bit of bookkeeping knowledge, now I'm not even saying experience, but if you can come to a company with a certification, QuickBooks Certified Pro Advisor, if you can come to a company, maybe you've completed Intro to Accounting at your local community college, or maybe even you just read a couple books, or you took a free course online, or you watched a couple YouTube tutorials. If you can start your job, if you can come to a company with the bare minimum bookkeeping fundamentals, understanding accounting concepts, that'll really put you ahead of a lot of other people who are office managers and office administrators. Community college, online college, great place to get some really basic accounting experience, understanding bookkeeping fundamentals and basic accounting concepts. If you're just getting started, write this down. Assets, liabilities, equity, income, expenses, accounts payable, accounts receivable, chart of accounts, reconciliations, income statement, balance sheet, and then debits and credits. Understand how debits and credits impact and relate to all of those accounting concepts that I just mentioned. Once you understand all those things, then I would be confident to say that you understand bookkeeping fundamentals. And my course goes over all those things. It goes over the bookkeeping fundamentals, like kind of from a textbook perspective, and then it also relates them to QuickBooks Online. So if you want to get started, my course is linked below. Definitely recommend, check it out. There's also a ton of other links and digital downloads and weekly group calls and one-on-one consultations. I have a free mini course. Check it all out. It's all down below. Start small, part-time, independent contractor. It doesn't have to be full-blown, full-time change of career. So if you just want to get started, a lot of companies just need 5-10 hours a week, and it's hard to find those people. because most people want a full-time job. So these companies don't need to hire a full-time employee, but a lot of times they just need a few hours a week, 5, 10 hours a week. If you're willing to come in office, people will be very happy to have you. It's hard to find somebody willing to come in office for 5 to 10 hours a week. So if you're willing to offer that, you're going to be ahead of a lot of other applicants. I started 5 years ago, $25 per hour. It wasn't glorious. It wasn't glamorous. You're not going to get rich making 25 bucks an hour, but that's where I got started 5 years ago. So don't be afraid to take on a part-time job working as an independent contractor for a few hours a week at only 25 bucks per hour. Start small. We're just getting started. We're just getting some experience, and then hopefully down the road you can get more clients or get a different job or increase your hourly rate. So reliability and availability are more important, in my opinion, than being a tax expert. As a bookkeeper, it's really not super complicated. More so, you just need to understand basic bookkeeping fundamentals, but also you just need to be timely, and you just need to not drop the ball. Seriously, as a bookkeeper, you just have to pay bills on time. You have to remember the monthly cycle of things. Reconcile your accounts on the first of every month. Reconcile your credit card account on the 14th. Pay your monthly car payment on the 10th. Make sure your utilities are paid. Make sure your annual insurance update is active. As a bookkeeper, it's really not super complicated. It's just a lot of little tasks, a lot of little recurring tasks. So if you can be timely and reliable, show up every day when you say you're going to show up, pay the bills every week when you say you're going to pay the bills, send the report to the general manager or the business owner at the end of the day or the end of the week or the beginning of the week or the first thing in the morning. Just do what you're told to do timely and reliably. And I'm serious, that's going to be way more important than any tax expertise that you might have, because we're not tax experts. We're not CPAs. We're not even necessarily accountants. We're bookkeepers. And that's a very specific set of skills. To be able to be reliable and timely, but also have the basic bookkeeping fundamentals and accounting knowledge, we're really in a sweet spot where we're more specialized than the generalist, the general office manager, but we're more reliable and we're more consistent than the once per quarter, once per year CPA tax expert. So it's really kind of a sweet spot. Let's think long term. What's your plan? Are you trying to build a business? Are you trying to work as an employee? If you're trying to build a business, that's a very different route than if you're just simply trying to become a staff accountant and then trying to become an accounting manager and then trying to become VP of accounting and then trying to become the director of finance and then trying to become the chief financial officer. So two very different routes. If you're just trying to become a business owner, you have to remember that sales and marketing play a very vital role in your journey. So if you just want to become a bookkeeper and then an accountant and then an accounting manager and then you're good, making $100,000 per year for the next 30 years, that's amazing. That's an incredible career and we need accountants. That's great. But if you want to maybe become an entrepreneur and maybe focus more on being an independent contractor, entrepreneur, business owner, you need to remember sales and marketing are just as important as your bookkeeping knowledge if you're trying to grow a bookkeeping business. If you're trying to grow a bookkeeping business, you're going to need to get your own clients. And sales and marketing can be challenging for bookkeepers. A lot of bookkeepers are introverted, analytical, not super creative, not super outgoing. So creating marketing content, doing sales calls can be really challenging for a traditional accountant. So just really do some soul searching and figure out, what do you want? What route do you want to take long term? Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? As an employee, you have a great opportunity to learn from the inside. If you're working for a small business or if you're working for an accounting firm, doesn't matter. Either way, if you are like an in-house bookkeeper for somebody, you can learn from the inside, learn their workflows, learn how they manage their accounts payable, their accounts receivable, their accounts payable aging reports. What's their cycle? How do they pay their bills? Are they using treasury management through their bank account? Are they using software to pay their bills? Are they cutting checks? Learn the workflows as a bookkeeper. Learn from the inside. Reconciliations. How do they keep track of their reconciliations? How often do they do their reconciliations? Do they leverage Microsoft Excel or bookkeeping software for reconciliations? And then how do they communicate with their clients? Especially if you work at an accounting firm. You can pick up on these little things. Like, you might just be a bookkeeper working at a big accounting firm, but you can still, if you've got a big vision of creating your own business, pick up on these little things. Client communications is super important. So you working at a big accounting firm, you can learn so much how you want to run your business just by seeing how your current employer is communicating with their clients. That's how I learned about real estate investing. Just to bring up Zip Capital one more time, I learned about real estate investing because I was the bookkeeper for real estate investors. And then I learned about private money lending because I was paying the bills for my real estate investors. I was paying their private money lenders. And then I saw that these guys, these regular people, were funding these real estate purchases with just their own money. And they were earning 12% annual interest. And I just thought, geez, that's a really good ROI on a secured loan. So I learned about real estate investing by working behind the scenes, by having an insider look at these real estate investors, by doing their bookkeeping and just seeing how they operated. And so that's what enabled me to start being my own private money lender. And now I've got Zip Capital. I've got more than $2.5 million lent out on local Pennsylvania real estate, and I'm offering 8% up to 12% fixed returns to accredited investors. So if you want to invest into my investment fund, Zip Capital, if you're watching this video right now and you've got $25,000 or more extra cash laying around, maybe in a bank CD or a money market account earning 2 or 3% interest, you could consider alternatively investing in my fund, and I will pay you 8% up to potentially 12%, depending on how much you invest. So if you want to learn more, you can register on my website. It's linked down below in the description of this video. And if you want to chat about investing in Zip Capital, I'd love to talk with you. Everything's secured by real estate. So it's been a really fun, really interesting experience just learning about real estate private money lending, kind of behind the scenes from my bookkeeping clients. A couple more points here. You can spot the gaps as you're working your job right now. Notice inefficiencies, notice unmet needs, especially if you're working for a small business. Maybe not necessarily an accounting firm, but if you got an in-house bookkeeper job where you're working part-time, 20 hours a week, learn about what's frustrating the business owner. Maybe it's accounts payable. Maybe they just can't seem to keep track of cash flow, accounts payable, slipping through the cracks. They don't have a good process. Maybe accounts receivable. Maybe their customers aren't paying on time. They need to come up with a system for collecting payments and getting accounts receivables paid. Maybe it's payroll. Maybe payroll is just not working for them and they can't seem to figure it out. Whenever you're working in-house, behind the scenes, you can pick up on these things. And then this will translate really well to what you want to do. You can take these lessons learned, spotting the inefficiencies, and then you can leverage that if you want to launch your own bookkeeping business. You can say, hey, I used to work for XYZ company. I saw how they ran their accounts receivable. I noticed that they were struggling. Look at this system I developed. I developed this system because I saw firsthand what it can do to your company's cash flow if you don't efficiently collect accounts receivable. So I've got this full 10-step process for collecting accounts receivable. If you come into a bookkeeping sales pitch with something like that, you're going to wow these small business owners. They're going to say, oh my goodness, accounts receivable stresses me out so much. I need you to help me collect these unpaid invoices. Yes, please. Let me hire you yesterday as soon as possible. I need help with this. And it all happened because you just noticed, you learned something on the job. Where if you never would have got that bookkeeping job in the first place, you never would have had that experience. You never would have noticed that inefficiency or that unmet need. So just pay attention to those things, especially if you want to start your own business. And then these last 3 points are all going to be just if you want to start your own bookkeeping business, because that's kind of the whole point of this channel. Build confidence talking with clients. Especially if you work at an accounting firm, you're going to probably be talking to other business owners, or maybe you're talking to your employer. Build confidence talking to business owners because they speak a different language. They speak differently. It's a little bit more rough around the edges, I'd say. It's a little bit less politically correct. It's not necessarily in a big corporate office. Entrepreneurship is kind of the wild, wild west. So you need to learn how they operate and how they do things. And you need to get comfortable and confident being able to talk to these business owners. So you're going to build that confidence working your first bookkeeping job, maybe as an in-house bookkeeper for some small local business. Stack experience, referrals, connections. You never know. You never know who the vendors and contractors and clients who your current company is working for. You never know who that if you do a really good job, maybe managing accounts payable, maybe paying bills for some vendor, you never know. They might say, hey, Zach, I remember working with you at XYZ company. I think I might need you on my team as my bookkeeper because you did such a good job managing their accounts receivable, managing their accounts payable. Those connections really make a big difference. And then, of course, referrals. Referrals are always important. You always want to make sure you do a good job, anything that you do. That way you can leverage that referral for that next opportunity. And then also getting a full year of full cycle accounting. Super important, super beneficial, because whenever it comes time for you to do your own thing, you want to know what to do, what to expect. 1099s in January, quarterly payroll, taxes in March and April, tax extensions in September and October, monthly reconciliations. Everything happens a little bit different throughout the year. So if you can get that full year of full cycle accounting experience at your first job, really impactful for whenever you go out on your own. And then think like an entrepreneur. Ask questions. Hey, why are we doing it like this? Hey, what if we do it like this? Hey, have you guys thought about implementing this into this process? Pricing. If you're working at an accounting firm, how are they quoting? What's the onboarding process like? How much do they quote them? What's the price for bookkeeping services? How much are they charging hourly? Is it hourly or is it a fixed monthly rate? What systems do they have in place? Are they leveraging software to manage their internal workflows, or what processes, what SOPs, what systems do they have in place for the daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual workflow? And then customer service. How do they interact with their customers? How do they communicate with their customers? Do they have a portal? Is it just through email? Is it through some other CRM? There's so much that you can learn. Just think like an entrepreneur. Even if you just get a basic job making 20, 25 bucks an hour, even if you're an in-house bookkeeper or a part-time freelancer for an accounting firm or a small business, always think like an entrepreneur if that's eventually your goal. So I hope this video was helpful. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat. Check out all the links in the description of this video. I love to partner with you in Zip Capital if you want. If you want to learn more, I'd love for you to take my course or join my weekly call every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you all next week.